I'm just trying to get my headphones connected to my computer.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Well, you get set. So thanks for doing this.
Of
Appreciate it.
course. I'm happy to
Uh,
be here.
I'll have ladies, I'll have you introduce yourselves one by one and kind of wave. Annie is like, man, yeah, she's just one of my favorite players, man. She's just a super badass, super does everything. Like, I just can't tell you enough about this girl. Like, on and off the field, like, she's just spot on, always early at practice, always training. So, is it all set, Annie? Is it good?
Just give me 1 second.
Okay. Having you do the tech side. I know you're not used to this. So, ladies, the way while Annie's doing this, the way we're gonna do it is I'll introduce you, can I let you introduce yourselves, and then I'm just gonna talk to Annie, kind of Q&A and get, her background, what has inspired her, what she's went through, talking about where she's played, what she's doing, and then leave, enough time because she said she had an hour, so I'll try to do like half an hour for us and then whatever questions you guys have. Good time, actually. Like I said, the best I can tell you about Annie is that she played in Minnesota, wasn't a great club to start, moved on to a better club, went on, killed it. Was it Annie? South Dakota State,
Hmm.
correct? And
Yeah.
then, yeah, just went on playing WPSL. I just really admire her as a person and a player. Like her family's great. Like everything about her is just badass. And so I wanted you guys to meet someone who I know that I actually revere that you know one Annie's going to be on the board for Senshi. Picked up also Annie today, my first doctor out of Emory, a woman. So she
Hey.
handles all the sports for Emory. She's going to be on the board, and I don't know if I told you, Annie, but I'm speaking at Emory's women's sports and wellness conference August 18th.
Ooh.
I'm the only person who's not a doctor on the committee, so it's kind of crazy. They'll be speaking in front of all these doctors about what it's like to kind of motivate and try to get female players, difference between them and men and so off, so forth and so on. But let's start. So Annie, tell me, let's tell the girls, tell them a little bit about, your background in Minnesota and, how you got into all of this, please.
Yeah, that sounds good. Before we start, just want to introduce myself. As you guys know, I'm Annie. I'm from Minnesota. Happy Juneteenth to everybody, by the way. Awesome day to celebrate, to reflect. Great day.
Yeah.
I'm from Minnesota, Cottage Grove, Minnesota, so like the city's area. I grew up in a suburb of St. Paul, and for club soccer, I kind of, as Mickey said, I played in a small club my entire career. Wasn't even thinking about playing soccer past college. Like I wanted to play in college soccer, and that was my goal. I also played basketball full time. I played a ton of other sports, and so I was always active, like always a competitor. But as far as having like soccer dreams, like my dream was like, can I get to college? My big question was, am I good enough to go play in college? Um, so in my young career growing up, I kind of like struggled a little bit with self-doubt. I was in a small club. I was good, but I never really learned the fundamentals of the game. So I'm sure you guys have all like the great fundamentals in front of you now to where you're working on passing technique, shot technique, soccer tactics of what movements to do, when, why, how to break pressure in different ways with a pass, with a dribble, all of those different things. In my club, I didn't learn any of that. And so I started with a base of like nothing. Um, but then when I realized, okay, like I'm actually without all of those things, I might be good enough to play college soccer. So when I decided, okay, 100% committing to soccer instead of basketball, I moved to a more like elite club my last year. And there it's kind of a struggle at the beginning, but I obviously adjusted. From there, I played college at South Dakota State to where I have to tell you, like my first 2 years were like playing wise, not what I wanted. Like I didn't play every second of every minute of all the games when I got to college. My first 2 years, I was playing forward. You guys, I'm a defender. I came in as a center back, um, then got moved to outside back. But my first 2 years, I was playing forward because they were like, I don't know what to do with you. Like you're good enough to play, but like not in the position that you want to play. So I had to make some adjustments there. Um, but ended up making those adjustments, kind of going back to the drawing board and being a little bit open with myself and honest with myself of like, there are things that I do in games that aren't good enough for me to play the position that I want to play. And so I just had summers of back to back work. So, summer going into my junior year, I put a ton of work in, had to make my touch better, had to be more confident on the field, worked in those ways. Came back my go or for my junior year, really made a difference was conference defensive player of the year, um, in my small mid-major Division I conference. Then going into the next summer, that's actually when I went Mickey, and I was playing for his WPSL team. Had a lot of success there and continued on to my last year to make back-to-back defensive player of the year for my conference. And that's really when I was like, whoa, like I can keep going after this. And so again, it was another one of those reflections back to where I was like, okay, let me check myself here because the jump from high school to college for me, again, I tell you guys, like it took me 2 years. Then me thinking about the jump from college to pro, I really had to like, I had to be honest in my training. I loved working with Mickey because he was always honest with me. If something wasn't good enough, he'd look me in my face and be like, hey, that's not good enough. And that's the way I like to be coached of just like, if someone tells you that to your face, that means they believe that you can fix that to have the tools to go to the next level. Um, Things like that. So working with Mickey, working on different tools for myself, kind of expanding my game. I was able to get my first contract in Costa Rica when I was done with college. COVID happened. I was out, came back home, kept training, and then got my first actual full contract that I spent in Iceland. I didn't necessarily want to play in Iceland when I played professionally. It was just kind of like, I want to play pro anywhere. And the agent that I was working with was like, hey, go out there, pay your dues, do well here, and then you'll have the possibility to move on. Um, from there, went to Iceland, had a great season, got offers in Italy and Sweden. Took the offer in Sweden, was there for a half a season, realized, okay, I like it here, but this isn't for me. And then from there in the transfer window, I signed and I was at um, Parma in Serie A in Italy for 2 years.
Wow.
And let's see, what am I doing now? Just to wrap up.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Then after my second year at Parma, I realized, okay, like I had grown away from the soccer environment there of just like the things there weren't giving me life. I was struggling a little bit with kind of the coaching staff. I didn't feel that confidence. Yeah, it was just kind of like a struggle for me. Like physically, I was okay, but like mentally, it just wasn't the right fit. So after my second year at Parma, I ended up coming home, training, working, trying to get another opportunity. But almost a year later, I am back and I'm playing actually in the USLW Summer League. I don't know if any of you guys know what that is, but it's like a pre-professional league for girls who are looking to go pro or staying fit for college. So I was able to find a spot back there in Minnesota, kind of like go backwards a little bit, but to find that love of soccer again. So there's where that's where I'm at now. We're actually in a travel trip at Sioux Falls, so excuse the hotel room.
That's all right. Annie, I was gonna backtrack a little bit real quick.
Of course.
What they don't realize is you're playing for, I think, the USLW champs that actually beat Tormenta down here in Georgia in the finals last year. But I wanted to ask you, go back to college because
Hmm.
I harp on that a lot with this level, this age group. And
Hmm.
it's not just Division One, but I love what you said. Tell them about how you not sat all the time for 2 years, but when they coaches tell you it's a 2 year acclimation point to get on the field in college, I feel like some of these girls don't believe it, but you've just said like that's what happened. So can you talk a little bit about your college day, like maybe not every day, but like getting to
Hmm.
practice, you're getting to the train, or the importance of my feelings with you and I've talked is it's 80% off the field this at college and pro and 20% your ability. What are your thoughts on what you went through? How'd you get through? I'm sitting a lot for like the first couple years, like you said.
Hmm. I think for me, I had to kind of have a shift in my mentality. And so I think that when I was younger, I was always focused on, I got my validation from everything outside. So I really like, I love my parents. I have a great relationship with my parents. If my, after a game, my parents were like, great job. I was like, okay, I'm the best. If my coaches were like, great job, like, okay, like I'm the best. Any type of external validation, you guys, that I got, I like kept it in. And so my performance and my success and my feeling about myself was attached to all of those outside things. And so if you think about it, if you get to college or if you get to a certain period, because we all have periods in our career that we go like this, right? It's inevitable at points that you're going to have periods where you feel really good. You're going to have periods that you're like, I don't know, I don't feel so good. So for me, it was just like when I was feeling good, I was feeling really good. I was at the top, felt like I was on the top of the world. But then on the other hand, if I had those moments to where like I'm not playing, or I'm not playing as much as I want to play, I'm not playing in my position, or coach told me that he can't put me in my position because he doesn't know if he can trust me. If you think about if you go everything off of validation, okay, if coach says I'm good, I did a great job today, I'm up here. But here in the other side of like, hey, you're not good enough yet. You're not there yet. For me, it was kind of like this high and low, this roller coaster of like, what do I need to do to get my coach to like me? And so I think that being able to flip that mindset switch. I know, Mickey, we've talked about this a lot of just like being able to be mentally strong in the way of just like not just to tough everything out and to be like, okay, feelings don't matter, but to just like take a second, self reflect, and be able to say, all right, here's the deal. Here's what I'm going through. And here's what I believe about myself, no matter what. So over the time, like I would say, it took me, you guys, 2 years to learn this. But I mean, I could have done it in 6 months. I could have done it in a couple months. But I would say mentally, as you said, Mickey, 80% is going to be the switch of like, okay, how can I believe in myself no matter what? I have these goals. Like, you guys are here. Like, we're on a Zoom together because you guys want to play at the next level. You have that dream. You have that like drive in you, that desire of like, after whatever I'm doing here in club, there's something after this. I think the best thing that we can do for ourselves is keep that little like desire alive and to believe in ourselves and to also be okay with those moments to where we kind of get like checked in those ways of like, okay, if even now, you can think about it right now. If I'm at a period in my career and our team is awesome, like we're winning all of the games, and then we get to a really hard game and we're like, okay, we got this. Let's just say we lose 3-0, we lose 5-0. Okay. Where are the opportunities there? Because that's a big reality check, right? In some ways, that could affect that like desire that you have. Like, can I make it? Am I good enough? But the switch happens when you have those moments where you get checked and you can say, okay, I still want to do what I want to do, but now I'm going to go back and I'm going to break down the problem of like, okay, maybe it was you who had a bad game. And you're just like, okay, I had a bad game, but what are things that I can work on? Can I go back? Can I watch the video? And can I say, okay, I look really frantic on the field. Can I take some deep breaths before the game? Or can I figure out my own pregame routine so I could come out regulated emotions? Or maybe yours is with your first touch. Okay, when we go to training, can I ask my teammates, hey, play me the ball really hard. I want to work on my first touch. And so I think the mindset shift is going to be number one key, not even just going from club to college, but doing anything that you want in life. Like as we go through the levels of life and everything's going to get more difficult. So it's just like, especially when it comes to college or playing somewhere out of home, you have so many different things on the table. You're probably living away from home. You're probably experiencing independence for the first time ever and figuring out different things about yourself and how you live and how you like to live. Or like you're realizing different things that your parents do or did that you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't realize like I had to do my laundry or something like that. If that makes sense. So I would say like biggest mindset shift is going to be knowing yourself more. Long answer, but
No,
if
that's
that makes
great.
any sense at all.
No, it does. Annie, you know I'm kind of a hard ass as a coach. I hard ass, but quantifiable grading systems, all the stuff that I did with you guys. Like
Hmm.
if you play better than somebody else, you're on the field, period. Um, you were always I get to practice early and you would beat me to practice. Like you're there
Hmm.
doing 120. You're one of the most fit people I know. Like it's incredible. So one, talk about how the things that I do to players,
Hmm.
which is harp on little things like one, respect. Secondly, like your response times, all of these things that I know as a former D1 player, like they matter. But I don't think players, I'm reading a book right now, well, two books actually. Uh, and one of them is on literally the age group that I'm coaching.
Hmm.
I'll look it up. It's called the anxious commendum or something. But it talks about nothing more. There's a team that was softball, and they took away all their phones for the entire season. They end up winning the championship because.
Hmm.
So, what are some of the things that you encountered with coaches? Because I tell the ladies, like, listen, you're gonna have, like I saw the other day, Chloe, one of my girls, put it up in the group, like, you're in little group talks, and he said, everybody needs to answer this every time I put something up, so
Hmm.
I know that you saw it and you responded. How do these little things affect you college and pro? Because I don't think average freshmen coming in are ready for the amount of responsibility that a college coach is about to put on them. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, as I said, as you go from level to level to level, the things that are asked of you and the things that you are asked to juggle, whether it's different tasks, different circumstances, that grows. And so I think the idea of going to college and asking for things like, okay, can you show up early? Okay, can you respond to this text? Can you like this message so I know that you've seen it? Or like even someone who's helping with the team who like if you're on an away trip and you're ordering food and they need to order it in advance, if they ask for your food order, can I respond as soon as I can? Because that's like the respectful thing to do because people are trying to get stuff together so that you can be great. But I would say all of those little things add up. And what coaches are really looking for, you guys, is the idea of buying in. And so if a coach asks you to be early to training, that doesn't mean you need to like listen. Nobody's perfect. One thing that I learned in my career of like if I have a day to where I'm driving to training, like something happened, my mom asked me to do something before I left the door and all of a sudden I'm going to make it on time to practice, but I get stuck in traffic. Like are those things that we can control? Not necessarily in the moment. I know, like Mickey, as a coach, he's not asking you guys to be perfect, but he's asking you guys to be professional in the way of like to be bought in, of like, I want to do all of these things for myself because it helps me to give more to the program. And when you're open to give more to the program, whether it's club or college or whatever it is, you're always going to get more back. And so I would like emphasize like some of the things because I forgot to tell you guys, going into college, I graduated with a double major in English education and Spanish as well. As I was playing professionally, I went back to school and got my master's in sports psychology. So I'm really interested in the mental part of the game and how to keep everything positive, fun, fresh, and like prevent from things like burnout or like performance anxiety or anxiety around these different topics. So I really want to separate the idea of like being perfect and buying in. Um, and so something like buying in like looks like this. On the days that I can go early, I go early and I work on whatever I need to work on. So if that's just like, okay, I need to go and work on my shots. Can I go early? If it doesn't work in my schedule to go early, can I show up on time? But can I stay late? Can you do what works for you to give that extra like attention to yourself, to your game? As far as like response times, if I can respond right here and then instead of being like, okay, like I'll get this in 5 minutes. Because that's me sometimes with my texts of just like, I receive a text, it's asking a question about the game, or I want you to check out this highlight in the game. Get back to me when you can. If you can get like, look at that, give that the attention that it deserves, respond as soon as possible. In my mind, that is like a buy-in thing, but also again to draw the line to remember that you guys are never going to be perfect. And one of my favorite things that when I worked with Mickey is that he never asked me to be perfect. What he did ask me to be is professional and to communicate. So in those moments, Mickey, of just like I remember one time like I was on my way to practice. Okay, you guys and I had to drive. It was like an hour in traffic, and I would get stuck in there every day because of our training times in Blaine. But I was driving there and I got in a car accident. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And then all I had to do, pick up the phone, call Mickey, "Hey, like I got in a car accident." He's like, "Oh my goodness, like are you okay?" He wasn't like, "Hey, you're late for practice." I called. He's like, "Everything okay?" And I was like, "Okay." It wasn't that bad. So I was able to still get to practice, but it's one of those things that you guys can practice of think about what's being asked of you and think about like your ability to complete those tasks. If you can do that, okay, do it. If there are barriers in between, can I look at them? If I can't find a solution, can I ask for help? Can I talk to Mickey? Can I talk to my parents? Can I talk to an outside resource to be able to do those things or to find a resolution so that everything out there can be is like communicated in that way? Does that cover that? I feel like
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah.
professional and communicating is like so important, but we're never going to be perfect. So,
Well, you
yeah.
mentioned the word three times communicating, and looking at the ladies and looking at you as a player, and I know on the field you're just always directing people. And off the field, you're super personable, but you're
Hmm.
always, even if you're not a captain, you could just tell you exuded like
Hmm.
leadership. Were you like that when you were younger? Because I'm finding, I know you see this, players don't talk on the field, they won't talk in meetings, and they don't understand that coaches watch that.
Hmm.
Your ability, to me, your ability to talk off the field directly translates to on the field. So, how do you feel about players who don't talk? Not like, oh, ladies, let's go, but I mean the specificity of direction in college and pro is so much different than club in high school. What are your feelings on you talking and also you listening? Like, are you worried about your girl when she tells you to get the hell back, or do you just do it? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
What are your
Yeah.
feelings?
I think it's like interesting when we talk about communication because there are so many different ways to communicate. So when we're talking about the soccer environment, like we've all had those teammates to where, I'm not gonna lie, like they say random things and we're like, okay, that's not helpful. Or like if you make a mistake and they're like, stop making mistakes. Is that kind of communication helpful? No, absolutely not. But what I can say about the importance of communication is that one of the things that I love most about being a part of a team is that you should always have a voice. Like as a person, as a player, like you should always be in a place to where you can share what you see, you can collaborate with others. Keyword collaboration, but that collaboration cannot happen if it's silent on the training field. If you're training and let's just say you're building up out of the back, you're playing out of a goal kick, you're focusing on keeping the ball. If it's silent, okay? An issue happens one time out of the buildup. Okay, nobody says anything. You go to build out of the back again and you make that same mistake again and it's silent. The problem with me, or the problem that I see, is that there's no communication, collaboration to fix that problem. So, obviously, on the field, you're going to have that communication that you all know how to do. You're going to have your man on, you're going to have your time, you're going to have your turn. If you're a player playing in the back, you are going to be shifting those players in front of you on defense of like, hey, 2 steps left to cut out this path, right? It's simple communication, but also like the value, you guys, and I will not emphasize this enough, because after playing professionally for a couple of years, it kind of, I was a little bit stubborn at the beginning, I'm not going to lie to you. And after having to have that language barrier, playing in Sweden and playing in Italy to where like I felt like I had things to say, but I wasn't able to express it. Coming back here and being able to play and communicating is one of the most valuable things that you can do in soccer. And so even being able to say, okay, if there's a quick moment that I can communicate, I'm an outside back. So I will communicate with my wingers a lot. And if I have like a 6 or an 8 that's on my side, I communicate with them a lot, as well as the center back on my side. And if we can solve the little problems in the game as the game is going, you will be the team that wins in the end, most likely. Because from, I would say, around your guys' age, most teams that you're going to play, they will have maybe kind of a game plan, a way that they play. If there's any problems with that, they probably won't realize it and talk about it until halftime, to where the coach is like, okay, here's the breakdown. Everybody sits down, talks, makes a new game plan. And then the second half is the exact same thing. You might have fixed certain problems, but other problems might pop up at the same time. And so the way that I like to think about it, because I'm old, because I've seen a lot, because I have that experience, is that communication, like small communication on the field, is going to be your lifesaver. And it's going to help you solve the problems of the game as they're happening on the field. Of like, okay, ball went out of bounds, girls running to go get it. Can I communicate with the person in front of me of like, hey, next time instead of playing me in the space, play my feet? Is that valuable? Absolutely. Can that happen during the game? Yes. Can that change the way that your team is attacking and your success in the offensive third? Yes. And those are like little things that I would really like to encourage you all of just like, if you're scared to communicate in certain ways, if you don't want to like be the one who stands up in front of the team and be like, hey, we got a problem. This person needs to do that. Talk with the people around you on the field. If you have any questions, like Mickey likes questions. Mickey can answer questions, you know. Um, yeah, so that's just my view
You're
on that.
totally right. You're totally right. And that leads me to you've got a player here, one of the captains, Issa, and she mentions to me the other day that, they have their own separate little group, which I know in college is kind of looked down on, but
Hmm.
she's getting lots of these questions. And yep, I know that I'm an imposing person. I'm a coach. Like that's
Hmm.
the demeanor that I have when I'm off the field. You and I joke around, whatever. But
Yeah.
you always ask me stuff no matter what. And so I told Issa the other day, her really part of her learning should be to turn them back to me. And the reason they're not asking is because they don't understand something. They don't want me to find out. They don't want the coach to know that they don't know. So you mentioned earlier film. And I'd say it all the time, man's a visual animal. We learn through mimicry and through watching what goes on. Yet I have players at a high level who they watch it sporadically. There's others that watch a lot of games.
Hmm.
But what's the importance to you of watching as much film as possible?
I think so. I kind of went through that phase when I was younger of I didn't I didn't want to watch film. I never grew up watching soccer, which I mean, it's a shame because I love to watch it now. Not saying that you have to keep up with every single game in the Premier League, whether you watch men or women or whoever it is. You don't have to watch soccer 24/7. But what I will say is like, okay, if you watch other people play soccer at a high level, if you're at a spot in your position to where you're just like, everything that I do looks the same, go watch high level soccer, follow somebody in your position, and you're going to get some new ideas of like ways to play differently. And I'm not saying like that to do that as homework, but I'm saying like soccer is so fun to play when at any moment you could read the defender and be like, oh, she's doing this, so I'm going to do that. Oh, she realized that I was doing this, started adapting. And so now I have another option. And if everybody on the team is moving like that, the way that you play, like you guys are going to be like smiling on the field. I'm not even kidding you. Like with the level of girls that I'm playing with right now, they recruit a lot of girls, really good girls from college. We have two girls right now who are at youth national camp, um, for the college age, and the way that some of these girls play, and like once we find each other and connect, these other girls that were playing, like sometimes I'm like, ooh, like I would hate to be on the defensive end. And but I really do believe that watching film and getting the ideas of like how to create, how to manipulate the defense is going to be amazing. But that's as far as watching other people play. I think that going back and watching your own games is a really, really important like reflection tool because I don't know about you guys, like I have had games to where during the whole game I am just in panic mode. Maybe we're playing like really good team. Okay, maybe it's back in my time at Parma and we're playing Inter and or Roma and they're just coming at we're defensive the whole entire game. I'm a defender. And so the whole game I feel this feeling of like stress. So every time I win the ball, what do? I clear it out because I'm like, I am under pressure. Okay. I might feel that way in a game, but if I look back at film, I might see, okay, in that moment, I actually had more time than I thought that I had. Or in that moment, I thought that this was the only pass and this was the right pass. But when I look at the whole field view, I actually had another option. Or I played forward when I could have kept the ball and played back. So I think as far as using film as a tool, when I was playing club, we didn't videotape anything. We didn't have any video. We didn't have any film. I wasn't asked to reflect on any of my games, my performances. It was just like, okay, a win, our team did well. A loss, our team did bad. And as you get older into more important games against tough competition, the scoreboard doesn't always tell you the quality of the play. Um, that happens throughout the game. And so I would say, even like, here's what I would recommend because sitting there and watching a full 90-minute game of yourself sometimes is so daunting. Like, it's a task that you're like, are you kidding me? It feels like I'm adding homework to my homework. Don't worry, I get that 100%. But even if, okay, let's just say I have one game a week and during the game I felt like I had this problem. Can I go back in that game, watch 20-minute chunks at a time? 20 minutes too long? 10, 15. If you need to, watch it on speed 1.5, watch it on speed 2, but just look for those things in that film. If you spend, and this is like at least my belief, if you spend like 30 minutes on film the day after a game or like whenever you have time reflecting on a game, you will get what you need out of that game and then you'll have tools going forward for the next game. So it's not something that you need to spend your whole life on, you guys. Like the soccer life, like when you're balanced, when you live a balanced life and give soccer what it needs to be given, and then you give other places in your life, like you invest in yourself, you rest, you take care of your mental health, you do your schoolwork, you find fun hobbies on the side. When you do those things, the tasks that happen in soccer, like you can do them easy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, little side tangent about like balance as well of like film is important, but you guys, you don't need to be watching an hour and a half of film every single day, writing down notes for every single action that you make. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is start. If you've never been someone who watches soccer, pick a team that you might like. Watch one half. If you don't like them anymore, go find another team to follow. Like there's so many different leagues. Like I think my favorite growing up, I really liked watching. Like if I could watch a game, I would watch the MLS because I like to go in person and I like to see like the Minnesota United. And that was all I watched. After living in Italy and playing there, I love to watch Serie A men's and I won't go back and watch MLS. So just like finding something that you like is important too. You can learn something from every level of soccer.
Annie, let's talk about the jump to pro. So
Hmm.
first, you're in the 1%. Congratulations, you're in the 1% club of people who go pro. Can you talk about one, what post college, you're there, you've won two, defensive player of the year awards. What happened to make you go pro? And then when you got in it, what was the real reality of how hard it was, or why is it 1% of people? Because I know there's the other Annie that I've seen killing girls on tackles, tearing up girls going forward. But then you get off the field and you're the nicest person ever. It reminds me of I put something up for the girls the
Hmm.
other day about Kobe Bryant, who I loved, and how he channeled his anger into developing another persona, the Black Mamba.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when he was with his daughters, he wasn't the Black Mamba. But when he was on the field, he's like, I'm going to destroy you. Tell us a little bit about your evolution into this one percenter.
I think it's, again, as I talked about, it's one of those evolutions that goes like this. And when I was done with college, like I had talked with Mickey a little bit. Mickey was actually the one, you guys, that was like, hey, have you ever thought about going professional? Like he was the first coach that said that to me. We'll always like cite him as that coach.
Thanks.
So really awesome moment for me, kind of like full circle moment to be able to come back and talk to you guys, who are working with a coach who is one of the main reasons I went to go play professionally. But I would say after I started thinking about it, I realized pretty quickly that I had to be all in on it. Because I think at some points in your career, when you have something set out in front of you, um, whether it's college of like, okay, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to play my 4 years, and I almost have that guaranteed. Um, but then when you go to professional sports, nothing is guaranteed, and the opportunity goes from like, okay, any college in the U.S. you could potentially, I don't know, find a camp to go to, find a college to go to, and then when it comes to professionally, the opportunities go from here, and then they go like this. Um, and so it was difficult for me at the beginning because I did not know how to navigate. This sounds crazy, but like working with agencies, finding those opportunities for myself. And so in that time that I was training and waiting for contracts to come, one of the things that I really realized, and you can use this for going into college soccer or going into professional or anything in your life, if you go all in on something, you will never regret it. Um, I used to have this idea in my mind that if I had a place that I wanted to go and I didn't know if I could make it there, if I tried and gave it 100% and I didn't make it, I would be exposed as like not being good enough. Or even like you can think about it in certain soccer plays. If I try to go 1v1 and this girl's faster than me, I'm exposed for not being fast. And so I think that part of my career, I was living in fear of like getting exposed for whether it was my technical skill or anything like that. But one of the biggest switches that I had to flip was going all in. So Mickey, you talk about kind of like that personality on the field, off the field change. I think for me, that came from of nothing that I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm so serious on the field. But it was more so of like, I have the most fun when I give 100% and when I'm the best. And so being the best to me didn't look like being the best person on the field all of the time, scoring the goals. For me and my defensive mentality, it was just like, okay, nobody's going to beat me. If somebody's going to beat me, they're going to have to work for it. Like as a defender, someone who wants to go one on one, 1v1, you're not going to beat me the first time. You're not going to beat me the second time. If you want to beat me, you are going to have to work your ass off for 90 minutes to maybe get one or two opportunities. And that kind of turned into my mentality of going all in, going 100%. Because guess what? Sometimes I would have that mentality of like, you're not going to beat me. And I would get beat. And then what would happen after that? You have two options. You have, oh no, I've been exposed. Someone beat me. I'm not the best. Or you have, okay, you're going to have to beat me again. Like do it again, do it another time. And so I think that switch that flips, that's able to kind of have that like humble confidence of like, I've been working so hard at what I do. You guys give so many hours to soccer. Like you can have some confidence in the preparation that you have preparing for games or whether you're an attacker or you're a defender in what you practice to be your craft, like your bread and butter on the field. You can have confidence in that and go into a game saying that this is my thing. I will do it on offense. Nobody will stop me. If you stop me, lucky you, I'm going to solve it again and I'm going to go at you again. If on defense, if you're not getting past me, get past me once. Okay, good for you, but it's not going to happen again. And so having that mentality of like mistakes for me, I don't even have to think about them in the game. I just move on to the next play because my mistake isn't who I am. It's the the effort that I give that makes me me, that hard-nosed player that's gonna go again and again and again, and that's gonna hustle no matter what. If I'm stuck 50 yards from the ball and they're dribbling down the field, I'm gonna make that sprint. I'm not even thinking about can I get there, can I not? I'm just gonna go, if that makes sense.
No, it does. What are some of the, now that you've been pro, what are some of the weaknesses that you see in the women's game their level? Because at your level, it's way different. But at their level,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you're like, that you're going to get exposed if you're, like not being fit, things like that? What are some things in your opinion that players need to be doing all the time on the field?
Mhm. I think one thing that I noticed because I also coach at the moment, so I'm working with kids that are like from third, fourth grade up until high school, and I get to do like small group training, stuff like that. So I get to see that from like a technical side, but I also get to see on the field stuff. And so I would say number one thing is like fitness is very important. And I would say like in my own career, fitness is something that you don't have to be talented to be fit. All you have to do is be have a little bit of discipline. Not asking you guys to run yourselves into the ground, to run yourself into a stress fracture. Absolutely not. But um, when it's time to do that conditioning, or if you get feedback from a coach, or even if you feel after, like up and down the field, if you feel that feeling of just like, oh gosh, I could not keep up with the other girls. Okay, maybe that's your sign to, in a responsible way, to do more fitness. Like that's kind of like a given that comes with like, you don't have to be talented at all. All you have to do is give a certain amount of time, do that conditioning, do that fitness. Probably going to hate every minute of it, but after it, it feels so good. And then when you get into the game and you have that fit feeling, there's nothing better. So that's important, but that would be something that, like again, I would not recommend that you don't listen to your body in those moments. And that's something that I think we've talked about this as well, Mickey, of just like listening to your body, being able to know from a young age what you need. So if my body hurts, if I every time like I'm walking or I'm running, I'm feeling this pain, is it really the moment for me to go to training and train as hard as I can and train through injury, come out of injury or come out of training feeling like I can't play a game that's happening the next day? Is that like the choice? Anybody? Shake heads.
No, you're right. Go ahead.
No, I would say no. And so I think like first thing off the soccer field is going to be knowledge of yourself. Because if you're like, okay, I need to get more fit, and you're like, I am going to run for an hour every day before practice, and you get to a certain point to where your body's like, I need to rest, and you're like, no, I need to be fit. You can work yourself into a place to where like you're not fit because you're overdoing it. But if you're like, okay, I need to get fit, and you're mindful and you're listening to your body and you're saying, okay, 20 minutes before training, I'm running these sprints and it's not going to feel good, but 20 minutes is enough. And I'm implementing this with knowledge into my whatever I do with training. You're gonna get more fit. So I think having that knowledge of how your body feels, and then one specific thing on the field wise, that basically you can control, because in my mind number one is going to be tactics of just like how the team plays. Like you guys have probably done shadow work to where you play 11v0 and then you rotate in your certain positions, and it's boring. It is boring. It is not fun. Sometimes you don't even get a ball. It's just like working, working, working. That is so important to know like how your team works and shifts together in this moment, even defensively. If you're talking about, okay, outside back steps, center backs cover, if your winger comes back to double down, those are things tactically that if you spend time doing on that, you get to college. Mickey is a pro at that. He was the one who kind of introduced me to more tactical ideas. So that's going to be number one. And then number two is going to be checking your shoulders as you're playing on offense and on defense. Scanning, checking your shoulders, you guys have probably heard it both ways, or just being aware, having field vision around you is really going to be a difference maker. for those of you who are going to go play in college and want to play professionally, if you can always be looking at the field, knowing what your next move is offensively, knowing on defense when I need to tuck, when I need to cover, when is a good time to step, where the ball is in comparison to where it might go, you will be miles ahead of the girls that you're playing with. And it will give you that edge of even sometimes I don't see it today, or even sometimes in a game, like I'm just relaxing. I don't check the field, and all of a sudden I get the ball, and I'm like, wait, what am I doing with the ball? So I would say like that will absolutely give you the edge on
Uh,
offense and on defense.
last question before I let the girls ask questions. Defensively, like I said, you're just you're a beast. Like I said, you're the nicest person off the field, but on the field, like I've seen you wreck people. And the big games, they don't understand that college is super physical and then the pro is even worse. What do you What's advice can you give to players, especially in midfield, who never go in on like that bone crunching tackle? What kind of shock are they in for when they come to the next levels?
So I think that when it comes to being physical in a game and using your body, your physicality, and on offense, if you think about it, your ability to protect the ball, and on defense, your ability to win the ball could be a game changer. And so I've always heard this thing of if you're going into a tackle 50-50 to win the ball, maybe you're sticking your foot in to try to poke, you're trying to stick your leg out, you're actually might be putting yourself at more risk than if you were to just kind of go with your full body into the tackle. And so I would say, like me, I've really appreciated the art of defending because when I didn't have the foot skills to be able to be super successful on the offensive part, the thing that I did have is like recognition on defense and that art of defending. And so I would say it really is an art. It's something to be practiced. And I think as far as committing to, let's just say, make a tackle to win the ball, I think sometimes we get scared to, again, as I said, like go all in, go 100%, because I think when I make tackles, like I am not tackling, I am not stepping to do anything other than win the ball. Um, but knowing that you might have to do different things to win the ball. Obviously, as a defender, like my goal is to make as clean of a tackle as I can because what happens if I fall in my defensive third? Dangerous free kick. But that doesn't mean to not be physical because I would say like, and I think Mickey, you would agree with me in this. The best way to win the ball is to separate the player from the ball. That's going to be your top tier of winning the ball. And so I think as far as even when it comes from, if we're talking about further up the field, if we're talking about midfielders, especially, okay, you, if you are um, against somebody who's back to goal, okay, so you're defending their back, they're facing their own goal, and they receive the ball. Am I necessarily going to have that moment where I can separate that person from the ball? Probably not, because when I do that, when I step up, I leave the space behind me. But I think, especially talking to our midfielders here, is if you've ever played midfield, you've also played offense in the midfield, and you've also been back to your own goal. The thing that makes you most uncomfortable is that when you're going to turn and you feel some pressure on you. And so I think it's also like to think about it this way of like the more pressure that you put on somebody else, the more it makes them think that they can't do what they want to do. And so I think like smart defending in that way of like defending is about making people predictable. It's about making people uncomfortable. And I cannot do that if when a midfielder receives the ball back to goal, if she can turn and face me, she's comfortable. She's like, okay, let me go 1v1 right now. I'm turning and I'm facing you and I'm making you uncomfortable as a defender. But in defensive spots, especially speaking towards midfielder or towards midfielders, if I can put a little bit of extra pressure, if I can make it hard for that person to turn, maybe their only option is to go backwards. But if you hold the ball for too long, I'm going to try to win it. I'm going to meet you with that physical that's not going to allow you to turn one way or the other. You're going to be uncomfortable. I think that's what really creates successful defensive shapes. So to all my midfielders, you never have to go in reckless if you know the goal of what you're doing defensively. And I think one of my strengths that I've always had is just like my ability to know, like, okay, I need to get close. I need to stay further. I need to step in now. I need to win the ball. But that's something that you can practice. That's something that you can learn. If you're struggling with it right now, you don't have to struggle with it for the rest of your career. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm never going to get this. What you can do is you can absolutely talk to Mickey. You can ask a teammate, hey, can we get reps in this? And can I get feedback from a midfielder? Because if you do it with your teammates, you have a teammate here, you're not killing them, but you're asking, hey, somebody, can you pass this ball? Midfielder, can you try to turn one way or the other? See if you can turn. That kind of stuff makes a world of difference. Um, so sorry, tangent wise, but
No, no, it's awesome.
defending is an art, and I truly believe in it.
No, it is. All right, we're going to open up, ladies, for you to ask questions. Just, unmic yourself or wave. Tell Annie who you are. Say your name and then ask her your question. So if there's anybody, so who has a question? Anyone? Oh, yes, Amelie. This is Amelie who told you about. Has been playing in Madrid.
Mhm.
So
Hi,
Cool.
Mom. Nice to meet
Hey,
you.
nice to meet you.
I was wondering, what would you say players at our age waste too much time worrying about?
Amazing question. Um, I would say this is gonna sound crazy, but let me just say playing time and awards and accolades. This sounds crazy because like yes, those things are important in the grand scheme, but I what I think that we waste or like even me at that age wasted so much time on is putting those things above growth and development. So if you're in a spot to where there are different clubs that I've been at professionally to where I started off there and I really, really, really wanted to play, but I wasn't ready. But every day at practice, I showed up and I learned more and more and more and more. And then I got to a point where I was playing. But I think that if we don't recognize that being in an environment that pushes you every day at training is playing time, would you choose playing in a club that's worse every single game over being in a top competitive environment where you can learn something every day and get to the point where you grow and play? I think that's definitely a personal question, but for those wanting to play above and beyond playing time, you can always earn more. You can always learn a new skill. You can always get better and grow in that way. And for those who are in that place in your career right now, if you're growing and you're learning and you're not getting that outside recognition yet, whether it's from a coach, whether it's from whoever decides the awards, whether it's from college coaches right now, please do not be discouraged. Please, 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 because the growth process, nobody puts a cap on your growth of like, okay, I just turned 16. You're going to be as good as you ever are. Like, that's the biggest lie I've ever heard in my entire life. And just to share something personally, I did not commit to go to um, play in college until February of my senior year. So it was the winter of my senior year, super long. So for those of you that are waiting for something to come and feel like you're working your ass off and that you're not getting the recognition, keep working, do it for yourself. That's more important than everything that you will receive right now.
is that good, Emily? Answer your question?
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Who's
Of
anybody
course.
else? Yes, Issa, go ahead. And then G. Issa, go ahead.
Well, hi, I'm Issa. It's nice to meet
Hey, nice to meet you too.
I would say I have a question of like, I guess I know we're talking about like the importance of like the mental health of like or your mental aspect of the game. So I guess
Mhm.
today was like the lowest of a mental point in your career so far, and like how were you able to like get out of that?
You asked what was the lowest mental point of my career?
How were you?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. I think I've had a couple points to where I was like, oh my gosh, this must be rock bottom, as far as playing, as far as outside of the field. But just to reference the most recent, it was actually after my second year at Parma. It was during that second season to where I really struggled, you guys. I struggled with confidence. I struggled with being able to trust myself on the field. So when I was in Parma, I was working with a coach who obviously didn't have belief in me. Like I was still playing, but everything that I did, he was criticizing me in a way that showed that he didn't believe in me. So criticism beyond the point of like giving me something constructive of like fix this, I believe in you, or even being hard on me because we want to fix certain mistakes. It was to the point where it was like very degrading, very abusive. Like the line had been crossed, not just with me, but with other players. And so we had a very poor, um, just like environment. And a lot of people were struggling with their mental health in that way. And so I would say I was in a bad spot then. And it was hard for me because I was so far away from home and my family is really important to me. I have a I had a long-term boyfriend, wasn't close to him, wasn't close to my family. And so I think in the time, the most, and you guys have probably heard this a ton in commercials, in class, in whatever it is when you learn about mental health. The most important thing for me was being able to ask for help. Now, asking for help for me didn't look like calling my mom and being like, help, but it looked for me of like with the people that I felt safe venting to, just being able to tell them, like, hey, this is going on in my life right now, letting the people around me love me in that way. Um, and then also, the other thing too is to not be defined. By who I am as a soccer player in this moment right now. So I would get really stuck because if I'm one who really values feedback and I'm one who is really, really trusting. Like as Mickey said, I'm like always asking questions. I'm always like working and want to learn from the people around me. Um, but I struggled there because I was with somebody who wasn't necessarily for my growth. And it took me a really long time to realize that. And so I think with me struggling in that way, trying to build back my confidence, because I will tell you, I got to games to where like I still would play, I would still have an okay game. But in moments, like I was like, don't get me the ball to my feet. Don't do it. Like nobody passed to me, nobody look at me. I'm just gonna do my thing. I don't want to make a mistake. And so my fear of making a mistake really caused me to kind of like bring that fear over into my daily life of like I couldn't let that go. I couldn't blur my soccer person to my outside person. And so I would say if any of you are in that moment right now to where you're just like, okay, like I need a couple tools that can help me, like build that confidence, or if you just need to vent, talk about a problem, have somebody else see it from their eyes and to be supportive and to show you that love. I will share my phone number with Mickey. I can give you my email. You can always reach out to me. But I think that most important thing is to know that you're not alone in the struggle of everybody from where you're at right now to elite athletes has those moments of just like I'm not feeling good, whether it's something that happens on the field, whether it's something like performance anxiety, or whether those off the pitch kind of whether it's struggles in different ways or hardships or certain traumas if they make their way onto the soccer field. Whether it's any of those things, know that you are not alone. It is such a common thing, and that there are definitely tools and resources for you out there. If anybody has any questions about those things, you can feel free to contact me. I can help you in the best way. And then I also have a good connection to people who work in um, sports and performance psychology at all different levels. So, yeah.
Anybody else with a question or no? Oh, okay. Wait, I said G, G, then we'll go to Amelie. Go ahead, G.
Hi, I'm Giovanna. And
Hey.
I was just wondering, can you talk a little bit more on like basically the way that you prepare for games, not in the sense of like days before, but I'm talking about like as soon
Mhm.
as you step on the field, before like the coach does their warm up, like how do you mentally clear your head for a game? And even during the warm-ups, how do you like keep your head clear so that way when you step on the field, it's like you're playing with a clear mind and pretty much in the most comfortable setting that you can be?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that short answer, which I'm not going to leave with a short answer. You guys have been with me for an hour. You know I like to talk, so I'll give you more than a short answer. But short answer is that everybody's pre-game routine is going to be different, and that it is going to you can absolutely personalize that towards like in a way that helps you to step on the field any way you would like to step on the field. So we have different kinds of people out there. If you guys take a second, think about when you play your best performance. How did you prepare for it? Some people like headphones in, like Mickey's a headphones in type guy. Headphones in, he's like this. He's preparing. You see him, even coaching, he is locked in. That's one thing I know about Mickey. I have other teammates like to who like to dance. They like to play music. They like to dance. They like to laugh. I have other teammates who like to keep their headphones in, but sit a distance away, close their eyes, take a couple deep breaths. One thing that was actually shared with me the other day, what it's called is like it's like a level of arousal. So if you think about like high energy on edge, that's going to be your highest level. And then if you think about calm, chill, relaxed in your most relaxed moment, that's at the other end of the spectrum. And so if we all think about, okay, my best performance was when I was absolutely jacked out of my mind, like I was like tweaking ready for the game. What your pregame thing, you should echo that. So maybe you're a music type. You really like to get into the music pregame. You really like to watch a motivational video, and that's what gets your heart moving, and you feel like you played better that way. I would recommend that you do that. Find your pregame song, find your pregame playlist. Do anything that you like to hype yourself up. I'm someone who, over the years, I've struggled with a little bit of performance anxiety. And I feel like when I get out of the gates, I'm tweaking too much. And so when I get to the game, I'm like, whoa, whoa, like a little bit too on edge. And so what I need before games is like, I need to put my headphones in, but I need to chill. So I'm one who like I usually like in years past I would listen to like rap. I love the rap music when I'm lifting, when I'm training, when I'm in my car. But then I got to the point where I was like, I can't do that before a game because when I get in the game, I'm like too high. Like everything when I touch the ball, I'm like touch, kick it as far as I can the first 5 minutes. And I'm like, wait, what? Like that's not how I play, but it's how I prepare for the game. And so what I like to do now is like I have my nice R&B playlist. I'm a caffeine person. I still drink my caffeine. I don't drink too much though because I don't want to tweak. But for me, it's also about like feeling like my heart rate. Some people like to go in with their heart like this, with a rhythm like this. And so that's why you're going to listen to music that has a rhythm like this because it gets you into that mode. I'm one who I need my rhythm like this. And so I listen to music that lets me like that. I kind of try to set a couple goals for the game, but I'm not too serious with myself. If you have prepared well in the practices leading up to it, do I need to look and be like, okay, look at my checklist? Not necessarily. I'm someone who needs to come in calm. I need to take a deep breath. When I play calm, I'm the best. Some people are different ways. But it's about choosing what's best for you. Again, if you have any more questions on that, I can help you in specific ways. Like I don't mind working with any of you and helping you figure out that individual thing. And it could be something that you try and you're just like, I actually hated that. I'm never going to do that again. Okay, perfect. We take it, we throw in the garbage, and then we find a new way to get you prepared that you want to be prepared. And so for some people, I have teammates who like they'll tape over their wrist and they'll write a word that they've been focusing on or like their intention for the game. I'm a big notebook person. And so when I work with my kids that I train, I have them take out their notebooks. Okay, what are we working on today? What is my intention for the day? And we break it down that way. But again, those are definitely things that I'm more than happy to either individually or in another group session. Like I can go through those things more in depth because they're helpful as well. But I hope that answered enough. Again, I'll give Mickey my number. If you have any more follow-up questions, I can get right back to you.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you so much.
Mhm.
Sarah, looks like you have one. You looks like you raised your hand, right? Was that right?
I did. I'm Sarah.
Hey.
So it was more, I had more question kind of related to the game. So
Hmm.
I'm a keeper and I've been kind of
You're a
struggling.
what?
I'm a goalkeeper.
Okay.
So I've been kind of struggling with communication a lot. And I'm
Hmm.
not really like as a defensive person, I'm not
Hmm.
really sure like what communication on the field helps the best.
Yeah. Great question. I think that I can say for myself and overwhelmingly a majority of people that constructive things work, things in the moment work, encouragement also works. If we start to bring that intensity with things that are like, come on, you need to do better, that's when I think that sometimes it can be a little bit misread by people. And so, if you're wondering what's the best way to communicate and how to do that, it's going to be with instruction. So obviously when you're a goalkeeper and they have the ball up or like someone makes a good play, like my goalkeeper, so many of my goalkeepers have had the time to just tell someone good job, like keep working. Cause I would say I'm a person who like if my goalkeeper recognizes something and like encourages me in that way, it gives me a little bit more to keep going. But in that way, for me, the most important thing is going to be instructional. So if you want to on the offensive phase. If somebody in the back line has pressure, okay, man on. If a midfielder is receiving the ball, maybe like a six, okay, man on. But I also think the idea is this is that the communication is not just your responsibility, it is the responsibility of everybody on the field. So teammates hear that as well. It should not just be goalkeeper talking, but you also have a little bit more of a responsibility because you can see everything. And so I would say instructional things. If you have somebody that you want to shift them. Hey, two steps left, two steps right. Okay, you're good there. Perfect. That's the kind of communication that's going to be helpful in the moment. If there's a problem to solve in a break, absolutely feel free to do that. But I would say, as far as like anybody communication wise, um, telling someone, I don't know if you guys are like that. I don't know you guys like that, but I've had teammates in the past that are like, you need to be better after someone makes a mistake. And as I've grown up, I've been like, I know, like as women, um, as girls in soccer, our tendencies are tend to be like this. I'm the first one who knows I need a mistake or I made a mistake. Then everybody else tells me I made a mistake and then it piles on top. I would say encouragement mixed with instructions is going to be great, but also don't feel like you have to communicate every second of the game because as the ball gets further up the field, you can't hear the goalkeeper's voice as well. So it has to come from, I see it this way, and I've been told this way before of like goalkeeper is the first line. The people that you're going to communicate with the most is the defensive line. From that, the communication goes from the defensive line to the midfield line, and then from the midfield line to the forward line, going back down from forwards to midfielders, midfielders to defenders, defenders to goalkeeper. So, if that answers your question, communication is not on you, but giving little instructions, moving people here and there, helping them to be aware of what's around them is going to be the most helpful. But don't feel like the whole game needs to be you like blah 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 blah. You can even talk to the person next to you and just be like, hey, this is what you need to do. Shift over, or this forward keeps going wide. Just give them information because you see it all.
Nice.
Thank you.
Andy,
Mm-hmm.
you look like you have to go soon, right?
No, if anybody has any
Okay,
questions,
good.
I
Uh,
don't have dinner till 6. So
okay.
I just got done
Amelie,
with practice
Amelie, do you have
before this.
one? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so you were talking about how you've played in multiple different places around the world, and you kind
Mm-hmm.
of briefly touched on it, but I have two questions. So,
Mm-hmm.
how do you deal with the language barrier playing overseas? You said that communication was more difficult. So, how would you say that you overcame that? And then also, was there stigma from you being from the US playing overseas? And how did you overcome that obstacle?
Yeah, I think that so as far as moving to a new place, like no matter where you go, you guys, even if it's US and it's in college, you might go through that initial kind of like, I wouldn't say it in the US as like culture shock, but like more like a adjustment shock. So you will be adjusting to the new things around you, to people who do different things, even in daily life, in different ways. When you go out of the country, that stuff gets magnified. So, different cultural beliefs, different cultural practices, those are things that you're going to notice right off the bat. And it might make you feel a little bit kind of like othered. So, like the whole culture is doing this and you have different beliefs. And obviously, as we know, having difficulties going to a new country, even just on vacation, or if you're visiting, or if you're moving, and if you're noticing those cultural things, your ability to communicate, to ask where the bathroom is, like you don't have that. Realize how much that magnifies when you get into a soccer space of like this game that you've been playing your whole life. All of a sudden, people are trying to communicate to you. And if you don't speak a language, like it's hard for you to understand. And so I feel like number one is going to be giving yourself grace. If you're moving across the world, do not expect to get it and to be on top of it and to be in your best game right away. Like give yourself a grace period to where like you actually adjust to the culture, adjust to the changes of like being away from home. Like if you're far, there's going to be a time change. Give your body time, give your mind and yourself time to adjust in that way. And then I would say culturally for me, like different soccer beliefs, I really, when I went to Italy, that's when I noticed it the most because most people there weren't speaking English. Like my coach communicated in Italian when I came in. As I said, I had majored in Spanish, so I had that in my background. But as far as Italian, I was a little bit kind of like here, there. What did he say? What's going on? And so I think there's an element too of like being uncomfortable and being okay with being uncomfortable. It doesn't mean you're going to be uncomfortable forever, but it just means that everything that you are trying to figure it out, you don't have to get it figured out tomorrow. Most teams will have players that also speak English. Like you don't want to rely on them for everything, but they're going to be some people that you lean on to kind of get you through as you learn. Then I would also encourage you to say that if you're in a place where you're going to be for a year or 2 years, asking questions and starting to learn different key phrases in the language is going to be your best friend. So basically, when I was in Italy with Italian, at first I tried to pick out little words that I was like, okay, same root as Spanish, I can understand, or at least looking in the field in the context. You know that anything that somebody's saying in a different language, if a coach is coaching you, it's going to be about soccer. He's not going to talk about like, oh, do you want a grilled cheese sandwich? Like he's not. He's talking about soccer and he's talking about tactics. So being able to kind of like have grace in that moment. Some clubs that you go abroad with, they will either just do it automatically or you can request it. If you're going to Spain and if Spanish isn't your first language or your second language, you can also be like, in the meantime, can you sign me up for some Spanish lessons? My first year in Italy, we took online Zoom classes in Italian, and it really helped to kind of like build that community, to build my confidence with the language, but also just to be curious and to ask questions. And if you're doing a passing drill, to just like have a little bit more focus and look at what the people in front of you are doing. There's no shame. And like, if you're the first one who's up, if you're like, take a step back, hey, you go first. I need to see how this works. Or before something starts, ask a question. What does that look like again? Or what did he say? Things like that. So I would just be open, be comfortable with being a little bit uncomfortable at times. It does get better. You will feel better if you feel kind of like othered. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In turn with that though, like
Mhm.
when you were going to different teams, how was the team welcoming you? Like, was there a stigma with you being from the US?
Oh
Did
yeah,
that
that's the part that I forgot.
like treated you as a player on the field and off the field?
I think a little bit. And so it's some people have different ideas of just like there's an idea that Americans are big and fast and strong and all we do is just run. We're fit. We never give up. But then there's also a negative stereotype that's like we're stupid. We don't know what we're doing. We're loud. We're imposing. And so I feel like you have a couple ideas depending on the country And also, depending on if your teammates have ever played with Americans, if they play with one American and that American was a certain way, they're probably going to expect you to be the same way as well. And so I think um, that is totally normal. Like, sad to say, but a stereotype is kind of a way that we as human beings confront something that we don't know, kind of like the unknown. We try to make our brain understand it. And so overcoming those things might be a little bit difficult. But just to say, hold tight. The only thing that you need to be is yourself. You don't need to prove that Americans are this way or Americans are that way. All you need to do is be exactly like yourself. If there's a certain way that you like to play, play it that way, but also be open to what your coach is saying, what your teammates are saying, because tactically, the players, I'm not sure what position you play.
I play like a wing back. My team plays like a five back system, so the outside backs are
Okay,
wing
so
back.
you're the outside. Okay. So if there's a specific movement that when you're in Spain, your coach is like, I need you to do this, or I need you to look for the pass into the middle or the pass down the line before you do anything and you're not used to it, also take that in and realize, okay, I am playing in a place that I am not used to. But everybody here might have the same idea. Just as like our teammates here, like we all think one method is the best method. The beautiful thing about playing in another country is that when you get there, they will believe different things. And also to be able to add that, to be able to learn that, you don't have to get rid of yourself as a player and as your preferences. You can add things, you can pick and choose what you add, what you like to take. Um, but also knowing that when you learn a different tactics, that your soccer IQ will go here, will skyrocket from being able to play in different ways. As far as stereotypes, I would just say my number one recommendation, again, you don't have to fight anybody for anything, but just being genuinely like friendly, willing to learn more about the culture, maybe even willing to learn more of the language is going to make you a little bit more agreeable to the people on the team. Because I think it's hard. And if you think about somebody who wasn't from the US, not speaking any English, coming to your team and expecting you guys to speak their language to them or to not change in certain things to not listen to you. And so I think in the other end, thinking about I'm coming into your culture, I am open to learn, being friendly with people, saying hi to people, learning, hi, how are you is going to be so good. And then rolling with the punches from there. But it shouldn't be too bad at all. And if it is, you can call me.
Thank you.
Anyone else have
Mhm.
one? Yeah, G, go ahead.
I just had a quick question on film.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna use something that you mentioned earlier, but
Mhm.
I'm kind of asking like more on a general term.
Mhm.
Um, but you mentioned how like there are times in film where it's like you can look at the field as a whole and you can see like, oh, this was a better pass. How can
Mhm.
you then take that and then implement it into like the next game? Because obviously you didn't realize that there was a
Mhm.
better pass at in the moment. So like how can you kind of take what you're learning from film and then implementing them into future experiences?
Yeah, I think that that's a great question. I think um, awareness is going to be your number one tool. And so if you, what position do you play?
I'm a center back.
Okay, so you're a center back, and let's just say you are trying to make this pass out of the back. In the moment, you felt you only had one option in the game or in film, you look back and you're just like, actually, I had this long ball, or actually, the forward who was pressing me wasn't pressing me as hard as I thought. It helps a little bit with that mind body connection. And so, if your experience, because like as humans, we are emotional beings, if we feel under pressure, our like everything, like even our vision, like we are just like, I'm getting pressed. Our emotions kind of like go from here. And then we might not be able to see our choices. It kind of like inhibits that. Um, but with that kind of mind body connection, to be able to recognize space of like what amount of space from the person who's pressing is enough to where I could take a touch and play a pass. And then what is the amount to where like I actually that was my only option. I realized that. And so I think what I'm saying is that you don't have to go through all the parts of your game and be like, oh, this was better. I should do that next time. But watching film helps you to be more aware of those moments and kind of like to regulate your feelings in the game. And so if I go into a game and I know that when I'm getting pressed, let's just say you are getting pressed by a winger who's going out and forcing you in. If you feel like in the game your only pass is to the midfielder in front of you, and you go and watch film and you actually think, okay, I could have taken a touch and played the diagonal ball, um, maybe you're more inclined to, as I have that in my mind, that's an option for me now. I don't have to look and be like, okay, look, is she there? Is she not there? But that might help me to try something new in a game. And it also helps you with like the little tactical piece of just like soccer is a game of tendencies. And so if you can learn different tendencies and know that, okay, just a basic one. If a team is pressing you 100% like go, 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 like all gas, no brakes, what's on? It's not the space in front of them. They're closing the space in front of them. It is the space behind them. And so then from there, you have different ways that you can solve to win the space behind them. If their whole back line is stepping up like recklessly, okay, that might be your long ball place. But we can only really recognize and see a clear picture when we look at the video. And then that also might be your moment of like, if you do watch your own film and you're just like, hey, I had this option, record it on your phone, bring it to Mickey, and you can also double check it with him of like, hey, in this moment, I felt like this was my only option. This is what the film says. What do you say? What would you recommend? And if it's a moment of like, if you notice in film, like I literally had no options, you guys, everybody's telling me to keep the ball. But as a center back, I'm not going to risk it and I'm going long. Watching film can also give you a point and a picture, whether you want to bring it to Mickey, whether you want to bring it to teammates. It's also a topic of conversation of like, hey guys, I don't have any options here. What do you all think? And then everybody can collab in that way. So yeah. Did that help a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody else? Oh, Issa, you raising your hand or you just doing that? I don't know what you're doing. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jaleesa. I just had a quick question.
Hey.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering if you could go back, like what advice would you give yourself to help set yourself up for future confidence?
That is a wonderful question. I think that what um what I would tell myself is that my confidence needs to come from internal things rather than external things. So as before I talked about um praise from the people around me really gave me a lot of confidence to go and to play confident. But when I wasn't getting that praise, I'd be like, Mom, like, did you not think I had a good game? And that would rock my confidence. Isn't that crazy? Of like someone who has played as long as I have, like if I didn't get that external validation, I was like, I played bad today. Um, but what I found as going on of like my confidence comes from I'm a person who I really value preparation. So if that's making sure that I'm game fit, my confidence comes from all of those hours I spent outside of soccer responsibly doing my fitness, doing my conditioning, having discipline to be like, okay, I worked on all of these things. So in this moment, whether come practice or whether come game, I have done everything necessary to be successful in this moment. And so when I bring my confidence from an external focus to an internal focus, I find that I have a lot more control over my confidence and it goes like this. Sometimes you're going to have those moments where it's like this, but it's not up, down, up, down, up, down. So yeah.
One more, and then we're gonna let Annie get some rest. Does anybody have one more, or is it me? Oh yeah, Danny Howard, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Danny.
Hey,
I was just hoping you could talk a little bit more about the professional environment and what is expected of you.
yeah, great question. So depending on which country you go to, which league you go to, which team you go to, it's going to be very different. So, but the biggest difference is going to be that is your job. So all of the things like maybe you had optional workouts before, maybe you had opportunities to where you were just like, okay, I have a game tomorrow, but I have a concert the night before. I'm just going to go to the concert and then go to the game super tired. When you become a professional, performing well becomes your job. So whether you're injured, your becomes a part of your job. And so things like sleep, nutrition, strength, managing like recovery and the load that you put on your body, doing other things. Those are all going to be factors that become really important. And that sometimes like clubs will have a say in what you can do or what you can't do. So for example, me playing abroad, I've had to miss a couple weddings of friends because we've had games and I haven't been able to make a 6 hour flight and then come back that same weekend. And so I think that there are sacrifices that you have to make when you are getting paid to do what you do. And so, keyword, you're getting paid, which is amazing. But obviously, it's that step into that professionalism of, okay, if I want to go somewhere on this day, I have to get it approved by the club. They need to tell me yes or no. If I ever need to miss practice or a game, it has to be approved by the club. And so, starting with that professionalism, they get a little bit more of a say. Hopefully, they're not like controlling, but they get more of a say in where you can spend your time. For me, my last kind of like a typical day would look like this. I would wake up in the morning. Most professional teams will practice in the morning, just because it's better for your body, it's better for everything. So I'd have training at 9 a.m., get to the training grounds, probably around like 8:15, go change. Then I would start in the gym. So doing, if you're people with knee injuries, ankle injuries, if you have prehab to do, your exercises, your activation. They can give you that. They can make you a plan. Otherwise, if you have your own, you can work with strength and conditioning coaches and physios, which most teams will have on staff to warm you up after that as well. So my time I spent in the gym getting ready for practice. Then from there, I went on the field, had a warm up with the strength and conditioning coach, which when you play professionally, especially in Europe, those coaches are going to be more integrated into the coaching staff. So you might do more soccer specific, but you get a good warm up. And then depending on the day, depending on the load of the training, you have your training session anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours, nothing too crazy, depending on the day and the load that's needed. Then after training, some teams will provide you lunch, so you'll have a cafeteria, or they'll always have food for you to take with you. Um, then I would get home maybe like 1:30, like that on a normal day, and then I would have the rest of the day to myself. So doing whatever you need to do, whether you're someone who, again, as I said, I went back to school and I got my master's online in sports psychology. So I spent a lot of my afternoons studying, doing those types of things. If teams had like a team event and they were like, hey, you need to go to this or I need volunteers, then you can fill your time with that. Also, finding any of those hobbies that I recommend of just like having that balance in your life, cooking dinner, going grocery shopping, all of those things. Yeah. Do you have any specific questions off that? I went on a tangent. I don't remember if I answered what you asked.
No, I was hoping you'd talk about like a typical day. So yeah, that was good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Yeah.
So Annie, it sounds like you have free time, but you've got to respect like what you're doing with the coaches and stuff. What do you say to these girls? We're going. The final thing is, we're playing in Sweden in the
Hmm.
club World Cup. I've been 3 times. I don't know if they understand like the levity of it because they just came out with the Times today who like I know now as of today we play Germany first. No, not no, we play sorry, we play Sweden first, then another
Hmm.
Swedish team, and then Germany to try to move into the knockout stages.
Hmm.
I know from times I've been there, there's scouts everywhere. It's not America. There's like pro scouts, there's all kinds of scouts. What's the thing you can tell these ladies heading over into Sweden to play internationally? and kind of the scope of it because it's just that I don't know if all the ladies here do, but I don't know if all of them understand like this could be the catapult to a huge career, right place, right time. You never know what can
Hmm.
happen. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'll start with this. I think every time you step out on that field, whether it's a training session, whether it's a game in the US in your local league, whether you're playing in a big tournament, or whether you are going across the country and overseas to play in a game, every chance you step on the field is an opportunity. Um, so when you look at it that way, you have lots of opportunities um, to be better, to play the way that you want. An encouraging part is that, again, as I said before, I will really stress you do not need to be perfect. You do not need to go into Sweden thinking like, this is my only chance to get scouted if I want to play professionally. Because we don't need that type of pressure. Like, we really don't. But what I will say is that, again, taking confidence from a place of preparation, if you have been preparing well in these months, which I know Mickey, he has prepared you well. If you are coming into this next experience, this next tournament with an open mind, with a joy in your heart, then the opportunity is there in front of you, not to go and be a professional right now, but to go and to have fun. And I think that when we go and we play and we have fun, we work hard, we do what we set out to do, people notice. People really notice. Mickey told me this one time. He's like, soccer can take you anywhere. Soccer can be your friend when you don't have anybody. Soccer can take you to countries that you've never been to. And if you look at this as one of those opportunities, like if I'm you guys, like at your age, if I had the opportunity to do what you were doing, I would be absolutely excited. So number one, like congratulations. This is an awesome thing. It should be very fun. Um, Number two, go into it that with whatever you've built your confidence on. Um, because the thing is, you don't need to prove anything to anybody. Okay. You have your own opinion about yourself. And then from time to time, you'll do that reflection. You'll do that check of like, technically, am I where I need to be? Tactically, fitness, am I where I need to be? But this isn't your make or break right here. This is a building block. And know that, like, if you play well on this stage, it builds. It absolutely builds. Like an opportunity could come out of this. But if you show up and an opportunity doesn't, this is an amazing building block to keep going. And any opportunity that you have to play out of the country is going to give you that edge that the people around you, whether it's going into college, whether it's going into pro, that the people around you do not have. Um, and so realizing that this is kind of just like a gift that you have in front of you. You have all worked so hard. And I think above all, like one thing that I didn't mention before is just like, you guys are amazing. Sometimes we talk about like, okay, what's the next step getting to the next level? But let's think about this. You guys are going across the world to play in a tournament and to have an amazing experience. This is the next thing. This is the next thing that we're focused on. If we can come here and if you have a little goal for yourself, whether you are a center back, whether you're a forward, whether you're a goalkeeper, if you have that thing in your mind of just like, this is the thing in my game that I want to have, I want to be calmer on the ball. I want to not crumble under pressure. That's your little goal. Write it down on a piece of paper, bring that piece of paper with you to the tournament. And that whole tournament, that's your intention. I'm calmer on the ball. And then who knows, maybe somebody who's there watching, because you never know who's watching, that game they noticed and that girl is calm on the ball. Like, I need someone like her. You guys see what I mean? Of just like soccer is built up of little moments of exactly that, of you being able to say, I'm in the moment. I'm not worried about what's coming after this. I'm not worried about what has come before this. But having an opportunity like this, if you're so worried about, if you're in Sweden, if you're like, I need to go to college right now, I need to get an offer after this, I'm going to an ID camp. Are you able to be in the moment and play at your very best? Probably not. But if you go in here and you're like, I have prepared, conditioning has sucked. I've done my conditioning packet. I've died every single day. But the most important thing has been that I've done it every single day. I'm committed. I can put that in my confidence box. My dedication, my commitment, I put that in my confidence box. Then you're going to outgrow the confidence box. And then you're going to have a confidence backpack. And that's the backpack that you're going to bring to this tournament here. And that whenever you need a little bit of something, you pull it out of the backpack of like, hey, our first game was hard because this team played differently than any other team that I've seen before. You guys, it makes sense. Like they're literally from another country that have different views about soccer. They're going to say the same thing about you guys. So in that moment, if you get checked, take something out of your confidence bag and apply it to that moment right now of like, okay, I might have failed in this way because I was presented with a new challenge, but did I do what I set out to do? Was I calm on the ball? Yes. Did I have my moments where I made mistakes? Yeah, but like that's soccer about how we react from mistakes. So just a little bit of encouragement there going into this next tournament. There are always people, as I said, training, games. It could be your very own coach who knows somebody, and all of a sudden you hear from I've done this with teammates before too, of just like I hear, oh, so and so needs a center mid. Am I center mid? No, but I'm gonna ask one of my teammates who I see in training who's like, oh, she has the qualities that you're looking for. Or even college too. Like college, somebody's committed to go play in college. Their college coach comes to watch you guys play. They see somebody else on the team and they're like, hey, they play well together. So I think noticing that every time you step on the field is an opportunity, but that's not to put pressure on you. It's to say that if that opportunity hasn't come yet, your life is going to be full of opportunities. So just be focused on the present and what it has for you. And every day that you go in and practice and play, it will prepare you more for the thing that's coming next. So you don't have to worry about that next thing.
Nice. Annie, I owe you. I just wanted to thank you for doing this because as I said before, you're one of the players that I'm is just up here for me. Um, I'll say that one thing that did happen today, and honestly, you say that, we talk about the game of football is a small world. So
Mm-hmm.
today I was contacted, well, told you the guy who I was trying to help you with the agent contacted me today and said, I need five of the girls off this team. And he
Mm-hmm.
literally has been looking at film that I've sent him, researching him. So after this, ladies, I need to talk to Amelie, Issa, Danny, Vicky, and G. Not that Jaleesa, you're not there yet, but they're looking for players that are just a little older. Um, I have no idea, but for an agent to contact me, like there must be some opportunity that's there on the horizon based on what they've done. So again, ladies, Annie, I want you to come back and talk to the whole team. I'm going to put this up on YouTube, so on our private YouTube channel, so the girls can watch it. I just think the world of you, and I just wanted the girls who showed up. A lot of some others are working, but thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much for doing this. So, ladies, there's
Yeah.
really, Annie, you've been on way longer than I thought, so
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much. I do need to talk to those people that I've mentioned. And then yeah, Annie, we'll definitely talk, but probably next few days because I got some stuff to tell you about, but
That sounds great.
I want you to let you get home.
Yeah, I just
Thank you so
perfect.
much. Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to all of you girls. Congratulations for those who are staying, for those who are not staying. Your time is coming as well. I believe in that so hard. So big things coming for all of you, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, see you soon, Annie. Bye.
All right, bye guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
Of
Bye.
course.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so I need to talk to those five ladies real quick that I just said, or yeah, good. Um, Yeah, don't know what it's about, but you have homework and I need it done right away. Unless you have a professional CV, which is basically a resume, and professional CVs don't talk about your high school stuff. Like your academics, all that stuff is not what they're interested in. They're not, if you're all state, maybe, but all conference you can put that on there, but I need, well, one, who has a pro CV? A pro one. So you have a CV that has all this stuff, G, that they look for at the pro level.
Yeah,
Film,
pretty much. I
like
just have to
I
like take
don't
off some
have it.
stuff.
Film, you're gonna have to also send me your best film. And the thing is, ladies, I need it today. So again, I don't know the opportunity, but you have to think when a British agent who's a friend of mine gets a hold of me on WhatsApp, like this is, he just said this, I need that stuff ASAP. So I will send each of you an email, a sample of like the what we do for Global Football Connect, my business that I've done for players that have pro CVs. I would look at it and get me match all that information. I'll take the time to put it in our format, but I would look at the format and at least send me an email that has everything, a copy of your best reel, and probably like a nice photo of yourself up against like a regular wall that's like, decent color. But again, I'll find out more when I send it, but you don't have to do anything. But again, like Annie said, like I do have these connections and one is panned out today and they're looking for 5 players at the under 23 level. And I know he's got connections to our national team and stuff. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I was just approached by was being a coach on the U.S. national team now that they've moved to Atlanta. Like I'm in the running with like 10 other people to be an under 18 coach on the national team. I just found that out last night. So I need this stuff. Get it to me. I'll send this out to you in the next hour. I'll send you a copy of it. I'll email it. Amelie, I don't know what time it is. What time is it over there, Amelie? Because I know it's later.
11 p.m.
Okay, if you can get yours to me by tomorrow morning, not tomorrow morning, but like late, like mid-morning. So if you have time, but
Yeah.
when do you fly out?
I fly out at noon tomorrow, so I'm leaving here
Okay,
at 10 a.m.
okay. Either way, I'm gonna send it to you, and if I don't have it, I'm gonna cover your butt for you. I'll be like, listen, she's gonna fly back to the US. But again, yeah, no details other than my friend Andy, the British agent, contacted me and is looking for five girls that I know can play at at the under 23 level. Like he specifically asked me. So if you're not interested, just send me a text and say, "Hey, not interested." But if you are, like you don't have to, if only if you're not interested. If you are, I'm gonna take it like, yeah, I'll get you the stuff. So is that any questions on that or anything?
Anything? One quick question for
Yep.
the film. About how long should it be? Should it like
Just like a
just like
normal highlight reel. Like I picked my best one though. And what you don't want to do is put on there don't know if you played high school, don't put a ton of high school stuff. Like you've got to think about they're looking for how you move off the field. You can score as many goals as you want, but they're looking for girls like Annie said, do you get in on tackles, distribution of the ball, speed of play, smart soccer IQ. Yes, of course, if you've got some footage from high school and you tore it up a few games, put that in there. But really, who knows? They're looking for your best footage. So he was like, "Yep." I said, "Can I jot stuff down?" He's like, "Nope. I need pro CVs and highlight reels." So again, I'm not saying I'm better than any other coach, but like I told you, I get a lot of opportunities like this with Global Football Connect, and I kind of open it up for you're the ladies that I thought right away, plus Emma would be the next one, so I'm going to contact her. But the 5 of you and Emma are the girls that I'm like, yeah, they're serious enough to want to be at the next level. So are we good with that? Are we okay?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you a quick question. Do you know
Yeah.
like what it's for? Like
Oh,
he wants
I,
5 people for. Okay.
he said I need them to be 5 players that have
Okay.
skill and can play at the under 23 level. And
Okay, perfect.
I even asked him, and normally Andy like tells me what's up, but this was like close to the cuff where he didn't even answer that.
Okay.
I may come back in another way and say, "Hey Andy, just between you and me," and then I can find out
Yeah.
what it's for.
Okay.
I want to also thank you guys for being there. Thought there were great questions. Two, your presence there was awesome. And honestly, you saw what Annie said at the end. It does show her like who's serious about their game. And I'm not saying the other ladies aren't serious, but again, soccer's a small world, and hope you get out of this that for a player like that to say that I'm the person responsible for playing pro, I still find unbelievable. But the crux of the matter is like I try to give as many players high level opportunities as I can. So even though I bust your ass and I'm super hard on like response time and all this stuff, it's because it comes from a place of I know you're able to play potentially at the next level, if that makes sense. So I wanted to make that clear for all of you that I'm not a dick. I just want you to play at a higher level. So gee, when I said that shit in the meeting, like I expect you to raise your level. Vicky, I know you can play, but I also got to be fair and make you, work and stuff. Do I think you're a red zone player? No, just fix that shit. You know what I mean? But when it comes to this in Sweden, actually, when it comes to New York, like be those ladies that are leaders. Even if you're not a captain like G and like Issa, I look at the six of you because I add Emma in there. You're the ladies that can turn this around. Not even turn around. It's not like we're doing bad. You're the ladies that can really set a mark. You're the ladies that can lead the team. And when I'm looking at these three games, I'm like, these teams are beatable, and you move into the playoff rounds like, holy crap. But the bigger picture is I'm excited for you to go abroad and actually be together and play. So I'm really proud of you. Thank you very much for what you did today. And normally I'm kind of a jerk and I'm like hard ass, but I'm like, thank you guys for showing up. It shows a lot of character. So, and definitely I'm gonna go change some grades around because of that shit. So, any questions for me? I'll send you the CV. Give me like less than an hour, about 45 minutes, okay?
Yep. Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome. All right, get out of here. Thank you for staying. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye, see ya.
Amelie, do you need me? You look like you got something to say or something.
No, but I noticed you changed the background. Man United.
Yeah, I saw, she got on, and plus Brandon and I are about to start doing podcasts as
Oh
part
yeah, yeah.
as part of Global Football and Senshi. So change the background, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, get out of here, ladies. Get out of here. G, get out of here and go do what you do back in New
Someone
York.
wants to say hi really quickly.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, who wants a what?
I have someone who wants to say hi to you very, very quickly.
Who? What? Santi?
How you doing?
If you don't know
Had a little
Santi,
bit
this
of
is he played for me and is playing college now. You looking good, man?
thank you. You as well, you as well.
Were you listening in?
Um,
You
you
listening
said
in?
what?
Were
Yeah,
you
I was listening.
good, man.
I needed to, hear.
This
It's
kid
also
is
an opportunity for me.
This kid, if you probably have met him already because he's been dating Issa for a while, definitely one of the players I respect a lot. And this kid works his ass off. Like fitness, like this kid gets fit. He works hard, never talk shit. Just love this kid, but his head will get like this. So I don't tell him very much. He's a good guy. Anyway, Issa, return me to you. I'm getting out of here, ladies. I got other stuff to do. Casey came in and said it's time to go to the gym, so I gotta go. All right, talk to you soon,
All
ladies.
right.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.